the Overture to this collection. The style is the man himself. People read without seeing any harm in it, and without worrying about the fact that man is no longer so sure a reference point. Besides, the image of the clothes that adorned Buffon while he wrote is there to keep us inattentive. A re-edition of Voyage au Montmartre, published posthumously in the year 6 by the Soviet press, penned by Réel Cécile. The title alters that of the edition published in 1785. Visiter par Buffon gives us pause for thought, not simply because one finds in it another style, which prefigures the best of our Buffonish reporting, but because it reiterates the sign itself in the context of impertinence, in which the host is in no wise outdone by his guest. For the man discussed in the adage, which was already classic by that time, having been extracted from Buffon's discourse to the Academy, proves in Cecile portrait to be a fantasy of the great man, Buffon turning it into a scenario that involves his whole household. There is nothing natural here. Voltaire generalizes maliciously on this point, as we recall. Shall we adopt the formulation, the style is a man, if we simply add to it the man one addresses? This is be simply to comply with the principle I have proposed, that in language our message comes to us from the other, and to state the rest of the principle in inverted form. Let me remind you that this principle applies to its own enunciation, since, although I proposed it receives its finest formulation from another, an eminent interlocutor. Yeah. But if men were reduced to bearing nothing but the echoing locus of our discourse, wouldn't the question then come back to us? What is the point of addressing our discourse to him? That is the question posed to me by the new reader. This reader being the reason that has been put forward to convince me to publish a collection of my writings. I am offering this reader an essay. I am offering this reader an easy entryway into my style by opening this collection with the purloined letter. Even though that means taking it out of chronological order. It will be asked to this reader to give the letter in question. Beyond those to whom it was one day addressed, the very thing he will find as its own, in, no, as its concluding word, its destination, namely Paul's message, deciphered, and returning from him, the reader, so that in reading this message he realizes that he is no more hind than the truth is when it inhabits fiction. This paralleling of later vol de la lettre will be cited with the parodie of my discourse. Whether one confines one's attention to the etymology of parody, which indicates an accompaniment and implies the precedence of the trajectory that is parodied, or in returning to the unusual meaning of the term, one said the shadow of the intellectual master dispelled in it in order to obtain the effect that I prefer to it. The title of the poem, The Rape of the Lock, Le Vol de la Bourse, is evoked here, in which Pope, thanks to parody, ravishes from the epic, and in his case, the secret feature of its territory stakes. Our task brings back this charming lock in the tropical sense of the term. Bustle also means loop, and not whose trajectory closes on the basis of its embodied redoubling, namely, such as have recently formulated it as sustaining the subject structure. It is here that my students would be right to recognize the already for which they sometimes content themselves with less well-founded homologies. For I decipher here in post-fiction, which is so powerful in the mathematical sense of the term, the division in which the subject is valued and the fact that an object traverses him without them interpenetrating in any respect. This division being at the core of what emerges at the end of this collection that goes by the name of object A, to be read little a. Object A. It is the object that corresponds. It is the object that corresponds to the question about style that I'm raising right at the outset. In the placement marked for before, I call for the falling away short of this object, which is revealing due to the fact that the fall isolates this object, both as the cause of desire in which the subject disappears and as sustaining the subject between truth and knowledge. With this itinerary, which leads writing the milestones and style which the audience to whom they were addressed required, I want to lead the reader to a consequence in which he must pay the price with elbow grease.